John Dewey, learners must socialize and interact with their environment for them to adapt and learn from it. Exploring your environment will give you the numerous of lessons and experiences that could be useful in the near future. According to Piaget, humans create knowledge through interaction between their experiences and ideas. Experiences and ideas gives us the freedom to explore and learn new things. Through the huge help of our experiences, it adds new knowledge. According to Montessori, education is not something which the teacher does, but a natural process which develops spontaneously in the human being. It is not acquired by listening to words, but in virtue of experiences in which the child acts on his environment. Learning is a thorough process. It does not only circulate in one setting. Sometimes, the learners must get out of their comfort zone and explore his or her environment, because some of the learners tend to learn from experiences rather than teachings.
In a learner constructivist approach, the learner is viewed as a distinct individual with unique needs and backgrounds. The learner is also regarded as multifaceted and dynamic. Learners actively pose and formulate questions to themselves, as well as create their own knowledge by seeking information and learning for themselves through inquiry-based learning. In this regard, the relevance of the learner's social engagement and language use must also be shared rather than being an isolated experience. Therefore, this will result of attaining sufficient knowledge and experiences.
What is the role of a teacher and a student in the Harkness discussion method in social constructivism? The role of the leader and the student in the Harkness discussion method in social constructivism is that the teacher only serves as the observant. The teacher may also shift into direct discussion if he or she wishes. In this theory, the teacher is more at ease and act little as possible. On the other hand, students' cooperation and teamwork are tested in this theory. They are all expected to participate and focus more on collaboration instead of competition, and they mean to share the same responsibility to reach a certain goal.
According to Bosserfield, on the year 1995, the purpose of teachers is to become facilitators rather than teachers. In comparison to teachers, they deliver lectures that predominantly cover the subject matter, whereas teachers, as facilitators, support the student or learners in establishing his or her own knowledge of the information. Learners in this condition play a dynamic role throughout the learning process. In conformity with Du Gamoran, Saceda, and Marat in the year 1998, the drastic shift in roles necessitates that the facilitator shall exhibit a different set of skills than a typical teacher. The facilitator must display active listening skills, clear communication with his or her learners, provide a psychological secure space for sharing, provide the learners with the needs and the real-world experience, and direct the learner's learning process. As a corollary, learners are better able to acquire, retain, and apply knowledge and skills. Agreeing with Brownstein on the year 2001, the role of the teacher in his perception is that a teacher tells a facilitator asks, and by asking questions to the learners, the facilitator gives the learners the centering attention to further develop their knowledge. A teacher lectures from the front, while a facilitator supports from the back. And because they let the learners explore and discover, they support them in any way. A teacher gives answers according to a set of a curriculum, while a facilitator provides answers on the glide. Facilitators hones the overall development of the learners and letting them seek, the knowledge to their infinite queries to arrive a constant answer.
For the reciprocal learning, it is a guided teaching strategy and instructional technique where small group of students improve the reading comprehension by scaffolded application of predicting, classifying, questioning, and summarizing as reading strategies. For example, students talk with their teacher about the substance and meaning of text they just read. Students are put in a position where they have to stay focused on what they read, so they are able to explain it to the class by using 4 strategies. While the teacher begins leading this discussion to show how it is done, they slowly reduce involvement so that students take the lead. Number 2. Inquiry-based learning, or IBL. Inquiry-based learning is more than asking a student what he or she wants to know. It's about triggering curiosity and activating a student's curiosity. For instance, in a mathematical class, students might start by asking questions about the most efficient way to figure out how much money they need to buy a smartphone. In pursuit of answering such question, student will have to think algebraically, numerically, and probably collaboratively as well. Number 3, problem-based learning, or PBL. It is a student-centered approach in which students learn about a subject by working in groups to solve an open-ended problem. This problem is what drives the motivation and the learning. For example, a problem-based learning project could involve students pitching ideas and creating their own business plan to solve a societal need. Students could work independently or in a group to conceptualize, design, and launch their innovative product in front of the classmates and the community leaders. Last but not the least, cooperative learning. It is an instructional method in which students work in a small group to accomplish a common learning goal under the guidance of the teacher. An example of a very popular cooperative learning activity that the teacher uses is jigsaw, where each student is required to research one section of the material and then teach it to other members of the group. Just like a jigsaw puzzle, each piece or section is put together at the end, and only then does the entire picture make sense.
Give a different role of a teacher and a student in constructivist classroom approaches. Teacher's role: making interactive activities. Student's role: students will socialize and learn from their classmates' point of view. Teacher's role: making collaborative activities. Student's role: social skills will be processed and developed. Teacher's role: facilitate learners through giving open-ended questions. Student's role: allowing learners to share their own perspective and to clarify their own thoughts to their peers.
Number 1. Teachers seek and value students' point of view. In a traditional teaching method, students are expected to provide and give the one right answer that the teacher is looking for. However, in a constructivist classroom environment, students are encouraged to elaborate and expound on their ideas and use evidences to bolster their opinions. Through a supportive questioning, teachers can get students to communicate what they are thinking and why. Therefore, teachers should acknowledge and value the different point of view of each learner. Second principle: classroom activities challenge students' assumptions. Students are highly encouraged to explore the fundamentals and complexities of something that they haven't tried or thought about before. meaning, it is just a matter of challenging and broadening students' views. The third principle, teacher pose problems of relevance. Constructivism is about exploring complex, real-world problems that allow students to engage with the material. Trying learning to ideas or problems that relate to the student's life and interests can help bolster their motivation to learn and deepen their understanding of material. The fourth principle, teacher build lesson around big ideas. There are certain vital concepts that the students must learn, such as recognizing cause and effect, critically analyzing documents, and inquiry-based exploration. Lessons in the constructivist classroom environment are designed to encourage mastery of these essential concepts or big ideas. Last but not the least, teachers assess learning in the context of daily learning. In a traditional teaching method, the teacher gives certain amount of time and then hand out a text to find out if the students learned the topic. In contrary, in a constructivist approach, assessment is about spending time every day focusing on what still needs to happen for the students' success.
I have 5 examples of constructivist learning assessment. So the first example is reflective journals. Teachers should give this type of assessment to the student for them to construct their own opinion and reflect about the lesson. The second is presentations. Teachers should give also this task wherein they will create a poster or a verbal presentation about the lesson for them to think deeply about the lesson. Third is role play. This assessment will cater students' cognitive skills not only by constructing scripts for the role play, but also in enhancing their skills in portraying what they have understood about the lesson. The fourth is debates. Debate will also help them analyze the best reason to stand their position. This will make them internalize about the task and point that is given to them. The fifth is group-based projects. This will help the teacher assess if they really understand about the lesson by giving them a realistic project. They can achieve the task given to them.
Reciprocal teaching is a type of educational practice in which students take on the role of a teacher during small group reading sessions. Teachers demonstrate how to direct group conversations using 4 strategies: summarizing, question generation, clarifying, and forecasting. Once students have mastered these skills, they take turns acting as teachers and leading a discussion about what they have read. Reciprocal teaching can only be utilized successfully if your learners have been taught, have had time to practice the 4 tactics used in reciprocal teaching: the summarizing, questioning, predicting, and clarifying.
An example of reciprocal teaching is a teacher will group the class into 5 with 4 members each. Distribute 1 informational text each group, or every group will identify each person's unique role: the summarizer, questioner, clarifier, and predictor.
Cooperative learning. Cooperative learning is the act of dividing a classroom of students into small groups so that they can discover and assist one another understand a new idea. Cooperative learning involves students working in small groups on a structured project. They are held individually accountable for their performance, and the group's work as a whole is also evaluated. Cooperative groups meet in person and learn how to function as a team.
An example of a very popular cooperative learning activity that teachers use is jigsaw, where each student is required to research one section of material and teach it to the other members of the group.
Situated learning. Learners acquire information through observing others and practicing and applying it to themselves. These learning encounters cannot take place in isolation. A According to the notion of situated cognition, cognitive apprentices learn from professionals. Situated learning allows the students to interact with the real-world, problem-solving environments. Students expand their knowledge based on their present comprehension of the issue, which is strongly reliant on social and physical interactions.
An example of situated learning is a field trip, in which the students can experience the work environment laboratory settings where students actively participate in mock activities.
Anchored instruction. The anchored instruction approach is an attempt to help students become more actively engaged in learning by situating or anchoring the instruction around an interesting topic. Anchored instruction emphasizes the needs to provide students with opportunities to think about and work on problems and emphasizes group or collaborative problem.
An example of anchored instruction are: first, encourage team working and collaboration. Second, show students models of good practice in essay writing and project works. Third is set up study groups for peer learning.
Number 1. Learning is an active social process. Active learning is a process that has student learning at its center. Active learning focuses on how students learn, not just on what they learn. Students are encouraged to think hard rather than passively receive information from the teacher. Learning happens mainly through social interaction with others, such as teachers or other students. Second, dynamic interaction between task, instructor, and learner. Learning experience is both subjective and objective and requires that the instructor's culture, values, and background become an essential part of the interplay between the learners and the task in the shaping of the meaning. Learners compare their version of the truth to that of the teacher and fellow learners. Learners and instructors should become aware of each other's perspective before examining their own views, norms, and values, thereby being both subjective and objective.
Adopting collaborative learning will help the learners develop several skills that they can use in the field of education. It can boost their cognitive skills in formulating and collecting ideas to their colleagues. It will hone their leadership skills by leading his or her team to make their project or activity perfectly done. Through collaboration among learners flourishes in a social environment where conversation between learners takes place. It will help them build self-confidence and self-esteem.
So we created a semi-detailed lesson plan in Prof Ed 103. So the objectives are: at the end of the lesson, the students should be able to A. Identify the basic movements of playing table tennis. B. Appreciate the game table tennis. C. The advantages of playing table tennis to their health. D. Is learning how to play table tennis. Subject matter. Topic is table tennis. Materials: ball, table, racket, and net. We also cited the references: values, determination, and discipline. Procedure: A. The teacher will call or ask student to lead the prayer. B. The teacher will let the students describe by their own understanding of what table tennis is and how it is played. C. The teacher will let the students identify the different materials of table tennis. D. After a brief information about table tennis, the teacher will formally start the discussion. E. The teacher will let the student perform by pair the game table tennis. Evaluation. So in here, we provide a brief quiz for the students about table tennis. And then last is assignment. We provide also an assignment for us to know how far they've learned about the lesson.